stand up. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can you guys, can you hear me, okay? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me okay? Okay, awesome. I have two mics on. I don't know if they're on. I know one is just for Miguel in the back. Okay, so we got to turn that on. Let me just get my computer going. Okay, so before you sit down, I want you to take somebody by the hands, and I want you to look at them in their eyeballs. Hold on. Look at them in their eyeballs, and repeat after me. I honor the millionaire in you. I honor that your next level is just beginning. I honor that this is a defining moment and you are ready for something big. Okay, now give them a high five, give them a hug, do something, and then take your seat. Okay, looks like my slides are wrong. Let me figure out what I'm doing. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I might need some help because I need to swap the view and I can't figure that part out. Okay, perfect. Okay, so Jason's gonna hook me up to help get my slides together. I am so excited that you guys all came out tonight. And I'm really excited because my most favorite thing to do in the world is to talk about how to make more money. Turn to the person next to you and say, oh, she about to help us make some money. Yes, show you the money. So while the slides are getting together, I'll take a few moments and just tell you a little bit about me because I don't want this to be about me. I want it to be about you. So I am the product of two drug-addicted turned crack-addicted parents born in the projects of Wilmington, Delaware. As the saying goes, we didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to pour it out of. And there was something in me from as long as I can remember that knew that something big was going to happen in my life. Jasmine said, what kind of name is Darnyelle? Well, my name means the secret place where dreamers go to dream. I did not make that up. It is really what it means. When I was in the 5th grade, I had a teacher named Mrs. Dixon, and we were learning about our name and origin and purpose. I met someone here who does purpose work tonight. Oh, yes, Amanda. And we were doing work around purpose. And she said the only way you can understand your purpose is if you understand the purpose of your name. Now, I'll admit to you, we had to do a lot of work to find Darnyelle, right? I mean, some might think it's Danielle, right? No, that R in there makes a difference. So as we were working, thank you, Jason, we had to go, first we went to the English derivative of the word Darnyelle, and that meant the secret nook, the secret nook. But we couldn't stop there because we knew that the Y made a difference. So we ended up going over to Africa, and we realized in Swahili, adding the Y is what gives us the secret place where dreamers go to dream. It is not by accident that I have this name. I mean, I wanted to be like Oprah, mononym, right? We don't need all these other names. Just call me Darnyelle. But the work that I get to do today, the fact that my name is an indication of the power that I pack and what I get to bring to the table for other people is exciting. So I'm excited for you because I'm about to change your life. On your sheet of paper or your pad, however you're taking notes, I want you to write down today's date, September the 4th, 2025. It just also happens to be Beyonce's birthday if you are a Beehive fan, right? And I want you to write this down as a defining moment because something in you is going to shift if you are open to what I have to share with you today. Are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, let's go. All right. So you can read all of my accolades. I mean, they sound grand and wonderful. I always say I'm a consultant who speaks. I understand the power of using words. When I was 10 years old, that same teacher who helped me learn the meaning of my name, Miss Dixon, stopped me one day as we were going out to recess. I was a very angry child. What I didn't tell you after I told you that my parents were addicts is that when I was 8 years old, our home was raided and my mom was taken to jail. Tim, I was pissed. I also thought that maybe it was my fault. And I harbored all of that energy on the inside of me. And it was beginning to erode my soul, Meredith. And by the time I got to Mrs. Dixon, she recognized my power and my potential, but she also realized that my anger was going to make me miss it. And that wasn't going to happen on her watch. So she handed me my very first journal. It wasn't anything special. It was just a composition notebook. You know, those black and white notebooks. And she asked, Darnyelle, have you ever heard of a journal? I, of course, said no. She said, well, this is a journal. And this is the place I want you to write down every time you feel angry. Now, Mrs. Dixon didn't know what she was doing. She didn't realize I was going to bring that book back to her in 2 weeks. I was really upset. But what happened when I finally turned the last page and I wrote the last word that I could fill in that book, something amazing changed on the inside of me. And I realized my purpose, Amanda. And that is to use words to change the lives of other people. And throughout my career, I've been what I like to call a belief barrier breaker. If you tell me I can't do it, I promise you I will, just to prove you wrong, because I know that I can do anything that I put my mind to. And so as you look at those accolades and see the things that I've done, you might get really, really excited about that. But I do want to remind you or let you know that I didn't wake up like this. Now, I started my career professionally, maybe like many of you, in corporate America. I rose to vice president in the company where I worked, all because of speaking. Now, I, like you, have been speaking since I was 2. I always like to pause to see if anyone will laugh at that joke. And when I was in my job, after I became a personal banking officer, they asked me to speak at one of our officer meetings. And so I did, and the CEO of the company happened to be there that day. When I was done coming down off the stage, he made a beeline to me, and he said, "That was amazing. Your energy is contagious. Meet me in my office on Monday." And so I did, and I got an instant promotion to vice president, and I became a spokesperson traveling around the world speaking on behalf of the organization. No formal training at that particular point in time, just a gift that was sown on the inside of me because I learned how to use words to help people change their life. Now, I spent about 12 years in that career, and one day I woke up. I call this my Keith Sweat moment. If anybody knows Keith Sweat, you probably know where I'm going with this. Something, 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 something just ain't right. I had one of those days where there was a knot in my stomach that made it very obvious that my life was about to change. And while I wasn't quite sure exactly what it was that would happen, I was very clear that if I continued to lean into it, I would literally get what I had always been praying for. And so I got myself ready for work. I got in my car, and as I drove closer to the office, the knot got bigger. Has this ever happened to you? And by the time I got into the parking lot, I parked my car and got out and got into the building and hit the elevator to go up to floor number 2. The knot in my stomach had become a lump in my throat. And I knew I was going to have to make a decision, that I was going to have to use words to change my own life in a matter of moments, without a plan, without knowing exactly what it was that I was going to do next. But I did it. I did the unthinkable. And I walked into my boss's office and I quit that job. I didn't know what I was going to do, y'all. But while I was trying to figure it out, I started selling Mary Kay Cosmetics. This is me picking up my second of 2 pink Cadillacs, and that's me picking up my first. Imagine being a brown girl from the projects of Wilmington, Delaware, driving a pink car. Oh, it used to be so funny when we would pull up to a light. Someone would look at me, and then they'd look at the car, and then they'd look back at me, and I'd smile and say, "Pull over." Because in the back of that car, I had products. And I was ready to sell it at every moment. I sold Mary Kay full-time for about 2.5 years until I had what I call my Britney Spears moment. Oops, I did it again. I traded one desk for another. I still wasn't living in my purpose, and I still was not doing what God called me to do. And so I made a decision right then and there that I was going to finally start the business that I run successfully today. But we did have 3 years that we call the lost years. Where's Kim? We're not going to mention the lost years. And it was during that time that things got really, really bad and your girl filed bankruptcy. I had to go back to work. Now, if you can imagine, when I quit my good job back in 2004, I walked out of there and I made a spectacle. Oh, I'll never be back here. I'm going to make millions. And just 2 years later, I was bankrupt and I was looking for a job. It was a very humbling experience, but it was also exactly what needed to happen in order for me to get to where it is that I knew I was deciding to go. I eventually got to the place where I am today, and the place from which I'm going to talk to you about how to start making millions every time you speak. Could you get excited about that? It happened because I had a desire to impact the lives of others and to live into my purpose and to allow that purpose to make a difference in the lives of others. So I'm not here for me, I'm here for you. And while I took the time to prepare because I respect you so much, I'm also open to the shifts that might happen as we're in this space. Are you open to these shifts too? See, I'm not held to any outcome except for that you be transformed. And so while I've prepared what I've prepared, if there are questions that come up and we need to pause and stop and go in a different direction, that's perfectly okay with me if that is perfectly okay with you. I just want to make sure that when it's all said and done, y'all give us a good review so that the Minnesota chapter gets to keep doing their thing out there. And as long as we're all on the same page, we'll go. We'll keep it moving. So here's what I know. Tonight, I've prepared this, and we'll see if this is what we talk about. We're going to talk about how to strategically, somebody say strategically, diversify your income stream so that every time you get up to speak, you get to make more money. We're also going to, too fast. We're going to talk about how to master the principles of offer alignment. Somebody say alignment.
Alignment.
So that you create so much demand that by the time you come down from the stage, there is what I call a groupie line of people that are waiting to talk to you. And you are amazed because you cannot believe that this many people want to talk to you. Turn to your neighbor and say, your money is in your groupie line.
Your money is in your groupie line.
And then I'm going to share a very simple, somebody say simple, follow-up system with you that's going to keep you top of mind until they're ready to make a decision to invest in themselves through you. Does that sound good? Yeah. And again, if we shift beyond here, it's okay with me if it's okay with you. So the one thing I want you to know, for those of you who are in here actively speaking and keynoting, and I'm not mad at the keynote check. Like, I love a good keynote check. But the keynote is just the beginning. Somebody say beginning.
Beginning.
What you do after the keynote is how you establish a legacy. A big part of the work that I do today is really in helping our clients, and we work predominantly, about 70% of our clients are entrepreneurs and small business owners that want to have 7-figure companies, and not a company that just does 1 million. I'm talking about netting 7 figures a year in their business. And we've been successful since 2021 of helping, actually it's higher. It was 77 for a while, but in this last year we added 5 more. So we have 82 businesses that we have helped since 2021 generate net 7 figures a year in their company. Thank you. And the system that I'm going to share with you guys tonight is a big part of that. Because what I know is that without a method to do this work, your message gets diluted. But when you have the right method, your message multiplies. Somebody say multiply.
Multiply.
It is, I just want y'all to know, like, I'm moving back and forth because I'm usually up in the aisles, but I'm being recorded, so I'm trying to be nice. So just stick with me because I really want to like go way over there and talk to Ann. But anyway, the real money is not on the stage. It's what happens when you come down. And it's the system that happens behind it. And one of the things that I've realized is that many people want that first check without realizing that there's so much more money, Tim. Oh my gosh, there's so much more money. And that's what I'm hoping that we'll get into tonight. Now, there are some basic assumptions that I made in preparing to share with you tonight, okay? So the first assumption is that you already get booked and paid to speak. Is that everybody, most people in here are getting booked and paid to speak? Okay, good. Second is that you already have a signature talk. You might have only one talk that you sell. You might be like me, I've got like 5, but you at least have one signature talk. The third assumption is that you have already developed your signature framework or methodology that you are teaching audiences. I see some heads shaking yes, so this was a good assumption to make. The fourth assumption is that you're feeling the ceiling of keynoting. Has anybody noticed that the keynote checks are going down? Yeah. I also am making the assumption that you want to diversify your revenue without feeling like you're a used car salesperson, because nobody wants to be sold to, but everybody wants to buy, right? I honestly believe that it is as honorable to sell as it is to buy. But most people, because of our conditions and our limitations and what we were taught and what we caught, don't necessarily share that philosophy. And then I'm assuming that you right now don't really have a system in place to monetize what happens when you come down off the stage, right? And lastly, that you're ready to make 7 figures a year as a result of speaking. Are these assumptions correct? Awesome, awesome. I love when that happens. All right. So I said this earlier. I'm going to probably say it 20 more times. Speaking is the #1 lead generator and sales tool on the planet. Nothing is better than speaking. I also told you earlier that you have been speaking since you were 2. So if you are a new speaker in this room and you come to talk to me afterwards because I was so amazing, you better not say to me, I just started speaking. Because you've been speaking since you were 2. You may not be being paid well for it yet, but it is a skill that you possess. And as you continue to hone it, you can leverage it to change people's lives, right? So this is a very simple framework and system of what it has the potential to look at. So first, we're going to package up your framework and methodology. Okay, so I see you guys all taking pictures, and let's be honest right now. You're never going to look at these pictures again. So in a moment, in like a couple of slides, a QR code is going to go up. I have a gift that I'm going to give you, and I will give you the slides too. Because we all not going to look at these slides again. I'm just saying. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to package up your framework, your signature business move, the way that you do what it is that you do, that when you do it, other people, they praise you for it, changes their lives. And for you, it's common because it's your thing, right? That's the first thing that we want to do. From there, we want to actually move into aligning that framework into the offers that will make us a lot of money when we come down off the stage. I'm going to share 10 ways for you to monetize beyond your keynote to start making some real money. Turn to your neighbor and say, she talking about real money.
Real money, real money,
real money,
real money.
Number 3, you have got to engineer your talk to open doors to have a conversation after you keynote. Now, for many of you, this is going to sound like I'm speaking Greek. Because you know how to keynote, to tell your story, to tell them what you're going to tell them, to tell them and then tell them that you told them. Yeah. You have to do it a little bit differently if you actually want to position the opportunity to do work with them later, right? Fourth thing we're going to do is once we come down off the stage, we're going to capture their information and get them on the calendar. One of the reasons why I've never been hell-bent on getting a keynote speaking fee, now don't get me wrong, I do love a good keynote fee. But I've never worried about if someone wanted me to come to speak and they couldn't afford my fee because I know how to sing for my supper. I know how to say the words that will make people want to give me their money. I don't have to take off any clothes, and I don't have to swing on any poles. Oh, I probably should have told you I'm a little crazy. I'm going to say some crazy things, but I do it to make sure you're with me and to keep you engaged throughout our time together. Then we're going to follow up. We've all heard the saying, the fortune is in the follow-up. And as we follow up, we're going to position ourselves to convert. And then finally, once we get that system tight, somebody say tight, then we're going to look for opportunities to automate and scale it. It sounds simple, right? Simple, not easy, but simple nonetheless. All right. All of this is a precipice to what I call the speak and move millions method. I'm going to high level go over the 5 Ps, but we're going to hone in on the profit. That's what I love to do, is to talk about the money. All right. So first thing we got to do is we got to prepare. So we've got to craft a signature talk that we're going to leverage. We're going to create some key messages so we can get the attention of the decision makers who can bring us in to talk to their audiences, right? And we're going to make sure we have all the right speaker assets every time we're doing this. From there, we're going to have to position ourselves. So we need to become thought leaders for that thing that we want to be known for, that thing we want to speak for. We've got to master storytelling and how to create an experience when we're in front of an audience so that long after we've left the stage, they are saying our name. Now, some of y'all wasn't sure if you pronounce the R or not. It is Darnyelle, like darn, and then start to yell, but you'll never forget my name after today. Then we start to pitch. Pitching is really the process by which we let people know that we have the solution to the problems that they're currently experiencing. And if they would give us an opportunity to share about how we can help them to resolve that problem, we would make their lives easier. And when we do all of that right, we open up the opportunity to experience profit. Somebody say profit. Profit. All right, cool. Now, I told you a minute ago that I was going to put up a QR code that'll give you access to my slides. I'm also going to give you my signature talk cheat sheet, and let me tell you why. I know I have a decent amount of time with you tonight, but I don't have enough time to go as deep as I'd like to go into how to position your talk so that you set yourself up to make money when you come down off the stage. This little worksheet comes with a training that's going to walk you through that whole thing and help you to set up those elements inside of your businesses. When you hit the QR code, it's going to open up your text message. When it opens up your text message, hit submit. Once you hit submit, you're going to get a message that says, hi, what is your name? Tell the text message your name. After you hit submit, you're going to get another message that says, name, tell me your best email. Tell your best email, and then you'll get a final message that says, check your email so that you can get a copy of the signature talk cheat sheet. If you do not follow all 3 steps, you will not get the cheat sheet. If you do not follow all the steps, in about an hour, it'll remind you that you haven't done all the steps so that you can get the cheat sheet. I talked to you about systems. This is one of the systems. I always want people to know, Tim, that if I say it, I'm also doing it. That's how I know it works, and that's how I can help our clients troubleshoot when there's an opportunity for them to be doing something different inside of their work. Has everyone had an opportunity to scan the QR code? Awesome. All right, so it's time to shift from being a speaker for hire to being the CEO of a company that leverages speaking to make millions. Somebody say leverage. Leverage. I want to spend the remainder of my time, and I know Jasmine will tell me when it's time for us to take a break, really unpacking how we start making money beyond the keynote. You already know how to do that. So I'm not spending none of my energy telling you how to get booked. We can have a sidebar conversation if you need some help with that. We're making the assumption that the keynote has already been booked. And we're going to talk about what to do next in order to turn that 1, 10, 15, 25, 30, however much you make the keynote into $100, $200, $300,000. Could that get exciting? Yes. Could we for just a moment, just everyone take their dominant hand, put it on their chin, and look up and out like you're imagining. And just imagine what it would be like to come down off the stage and within 2 to 3 weeks generate $200,000 or $300,000 every time you keynote. Yes. Could anybody get excited about that? Then show me you're excited. All right. Are you guys having fun already? Yes. Okay, good. Okay, good. Am I doing good, Jasmine?
You're doing great.
She said you better kick off this new year. You better do good. You got to kick this thing off. And I said, I got you, girl. All right. So how do we make this happen? We make this happen with a little word called omnipresence. Omnipresence means that people see you before they see you, and when they're not even looking for you, they can see you. And so we're going to talk about what some of those things are that you'll need to do as soon as you book the keynote. This is what helps to make a difference, because what we are telling the audience that we're going to speak to is that we are available for them to experience transformation. All right, so here we go. You're going to position yourself before you show up, once you're there, and after the talk is over. And there are a lot of different ways you can do that. Here are some examples of what you can do before. You can send them an article. Articles that you've written, by the way. You connect with them on LinkedIn. Send them videos. One of my favorite things to do is when I connect with someone new and someone is going to bring me in, is I open up my phone. I act like I'm going to do a reel on Instagram. I only do that because of the filters. I don't have to go put makeup on my face just to send a video. So I use the filter that makes me look extra cute. And then I just record a 30 or 60-second video. Hi, Tim. I just keep saying Tim because he's right here and he's so intent. He's so into my conversation. And he's a new CSP, and so I'm just so excited for Tim. And I say, hi, Tim. It's Darnyelle. I'm so excited that I'm going to be coming to the Minnesota chapter of the NSA. I cannot wait to meet you. I cannot wait to teach you. I cannot wait for you to tell me how much money you made for my presentation. So make sure you're there and bring your friends, and I'll see you soon. Something like that. That's just an example of what that could look like when you're preceding, when you're pre-talking to them, you're pre-creating that omnipresence. Now, I already know one of the questions in your head is, am I doing this for everyone? No, you're doing it for whoever's bringing you in or whoever your contact person is. You know what they're going to do? They're going to tell all their friends. Do you realize she just took the time to send me a personal video about how excited she is to come? Oh my gosh, we've got to pack this place out. We got to make sure there's lots of people there, right? That's what's going to happen. They're going to tell people about how great you are so that when you show up, all you have to do is shake it. Not literally, but you guys know. But you should practice your shimmy. Like everybody just real quick, let's just shimmy. Let's just practice our shimmy. Because we're talking about B. It's her birthday. Beyonce just shows up and shakes it. She has no idea how many tickets have been sold. She doesn't know if all of the ushers are where they need to be. Somebody puts her hair on. Somebody helps her get into her outfit. And she shimmies and twerks. I'm not going to twerk, but that's what she does, right? So that's ultimately what we want to happen. Now, during the keynote, as you are doing this talk, and that signature talk cheat sheet is going to help you with this, you want to weave in future pacing of what it could be like to deepen the experience. You probably know this, but just in case you don't, every problem you solve presents a new problem. And if you understand the progression of the problems that your most ideal audiences are going to have in advance, and you weave them into your presentation, this can help you to build customers for life. Ever heard the saying, it's cheaper to keep her? Yeah, client acquisition costs are a whole real thing, and they are going up. So if you can get a client that stays with you longer because you understand the way that they think, you understand the problems that they have, you understand what's going on beyond the words that they speak to you, you can create a proverbial arsenal of ways to serve them long after you come down off the stage. That's one of the things that I do really often. I'm going to share some case studies with you guys in a little while of how we've been able to do this every single time we speak. And then once the talk is over, you want to already have a strategic campaign in place for how you're going to follow up with every single person who during the talk gave you their contact information. Spoiler alert, you're going to get some emails from me if you did that QR code. These are just some examples of creating omnipresence. For me, it's really about creating what I like to call the echo effect. How many of you have ever gone somewhere to speak and you knew you were good, but very soon after that keynote is over, there's nothing happening? Has this happened to anyone other than me? Right? You are a good speaker. I don't know about you. I don't want to be a good speaker. I want to be a profitable speaker, right? Now, if what you did reverberates long after you're gone, and you'll know this because you get contracts and licensing opportunities and people who are trying to figure out how they can get whatever it is you have to sell, then that is what positions you to become a profitable speaker. The goal is what? I mean, say it like you want to be profitable.
Profitable.
I don't know if I'm buying it. Okay, a little bit better. Okay, so let's talk about positioning beyond the stage. What happens now that the engagement is over? God bless you. I believe that your keynote is the trailer, not the movie. It's the starting point. It's the conversation starter. And I don't know how much time and energy you spend preparing for that keynote, but the time and energy that you spend should not fall flat when you come down off the stage. How many times has that happened? Right? No, we got to extend the life as much as we possibly can. So how do we do that? Well, we do that first and foremost by recognizing you are not a speaker, you are a distribution channel for transformation. Okay. How does that reframe feel? Right? You're not a speaker. Now that's who they're hiring, but you are literally there to change lives. And when you do so, that is how before you leave, the next engagement has been booked. Right? It's also about recognizing that the stories you tell, the framework that you share, and the body of work that you have is how you monetize. Somebody say monetize.
Monetize.
I'm all about the money. Now, I'm sharing this slide with you. I know you can't see it very well, but I am going to share the slides with you because we are in a mature market. So we spent 5 years in a growth market of COVID-19. You guys, I mean, I know we went from speaking live and in person to virtual, and we just pivoted. The opportunities were boundless. Well, that's not the market we're in now. When we move into a mature market, which typically happens because of political changes, and sometimes the media impacts what we see and what we experience and how we feel, the buyer still has money, but they are way more discerning. And they're not willing to just drop a dime on it just because you want them to. We're going to have to do more in these markets in order to get the visibility and let it be known that we have the thought leadership that is going to solve the problem that they're interested in bringing us in. I mean, listen, as speakers, y'all, we are bad mamma jammas. You know that, right? We literally can solve a problem in 45 minutes or less. And we do it all day long and twice on Sunday. We're bad. Who's bad? These little moments, they just pop into my head. So during this type of market, I always recommend expanding your offer suite. So normally, and if you have a copy of my book, I know a few of you have, I've signed a few already tonight. Absolutely, Move to Millions. We talk about, in there we talk about having a superb offer, a signature offer, and a select offer. But when we move into a mature market, you might want to have either a starter or a spark offer. These are typically lower priced offers that open the door to start the conversation for transformation. And it enacts what I call the reservoir strategy. So we fill a basin with a lot of people buying something at a lower price point, and then we go into the basin and we pull them up into the higher price point items. So in the land of keynoting, that could mean instead of booking the keynote, you book a breakout session, or you book a moderated discussion. You book something else that leads to the higher thing, but because of the way that you position it, beyond the keynote, you're already talking about the development of the program or them licensing your curriculum. For those of you who have your signature systems, have you already modularized them? If you haven't, make that a very, 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 very present right now action item. Ask me why, somebody. Why? Because companies spend a lot of money licensing already built curriculums. See, you didn't even know. Right now, you could be making more money. All you have to do is say something like this. This was not in my slides, but I'm going to share. Listen, when you are booking the keynote, I'm going to come in and I'm going to share my Move to Millions method with you. Specifically for your company, this is going to help you to do 1, 2, and 3. But I want you to get excited because even though I'm only going to be there for the 90 minutes that this event is happening, I've already developed a curriculum that we can customize for your company so they can continue to learn about our method long after I'm gone off the stage. Would you like to have the conversation now, or would you like to wait until after I wow your audience and everybody wants it? Sometimes they want to have the conversation now, and that $25,000 keynote just became a $250,000 licensing deal. Just like that. All because I took the time to modularize my framework, and I've got 3 different versions because we serve entrepreneurs and small business owners, we serve corporations, and we serve the government. So my methodology has already been broken down into each of the verticals that I serve, so I already have it. I've done the work to be able to sell it later. Is this a nugget that could change your life? All right, cool. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming out. I'm done. No, I'm joking. Okay, we've got more. So during this time, again, we expand the offer suite. We potentially start with something lower, ultimately to the goal to get us up to that significant offer, which depending upon whether you work small businesses or corporations or government could be over those price points that are there. And let's talk about the 10 ways that you can profit beyond the keynote. So most of us know all about coaching masterminds and retreats. Who right now has a mastermind, coaching programs, do some retreats throughout the course of the year? Yeah. What about consulting and advisory? It's another way to make money, right? How many of you license your IP? Not enough hands are up. How many of you have IP? I was gonna say, everybody's hand should be up. You all have IP. So is it registered as a trademark? Is it copywritten? And if it is, it's ready to be licensed. Licensing by itself is a 7-figure play. By itself. Book sales, right? We all know about book sales. And everybody is expanding the keynote to their continuing learning opportunity, right? Everybody's already doing that? Okay, good. Training and development workshop facilitation. So you come in, you do the keynote, which kind of sets the stage for the methodology that you want to teach, and then you break it down into a longer play over time to unpack the concepts, and you sell them the curriculum that they have online in their intranet in addition to you coming and presenting it. Now, this is completely different than a certification or a train-the-trainer. Yes?
I'm going to ask you, because I know our audience, what if you're coming in at that training and development workshop facilitation? That's your entry point, not a keynote.
Yeah, so what I always do, no matter where I go to speak, if I'm speaking, I always do a moderated discussion included in whatever they booked me for. A moderated discussion is me coming back 30 to 45 days later and having a conversation with the people that I presented to the first time. One of the things that I always do is I do the pre-survey as well as the post-survey at the point that I do it, right? So before we get started, if I'm doing a workshop, I'm going to ask you some basic questions so I can assess where you are. At the end of that session, I'm going to ask you just about all of the same questions to see what shifts have occurred, but I'm going to ask you one additional question. And that one additional question is, what do you need next? I'm going to take that information and I'm going to go to the powers that be, whoever brought me in, and I'm going to present all of the things that the people I just trained and developed need next. And we're going to have a conversation about a series or the development of a curriculum specifically for that organization in order to meet the needs that their people have. If they thought enough of their people to bring me in the first time and they still have problems that need to be solved, they would probably want to bring me in again to solve those problems, right? We all know that the only competitive advantage any organization has is the development of their people. And if they're unwilling to spend the time and energy to develop them, then their people are going to go become someone else's people. Digital programs and courses, another way to expand beyond the keynote. Sponsorships and partnerships. This is one of my favorites. Now, this one, depending upon where you speak, could be tricky. But let me break this one down because most people have never heard of this. So I'm having a conversation with Tim, and Tim is the CEO of ABC Corporation, who also serves the audience that I'm going to speak in front of, but serves them in a different way. So Tim sponsors me. Tim pays me $25,000 to go and do this presentation. So it's Darnyelle Jervey Harmon is speaking, presented by ABC Corporation, to go do this presentation for this organization. As a result of that, when I make my QR code freebie offer, it is a combined offer for Tim and Tim gets to share in the leads that I just generated from doing that keynote presentation. So that's what sponsorship looks like beyond the keynote. Again, it's tricky. Whether or not you can do it in corporations is going to depend, but you can absolutely do it when you're doing associations and conferences. Next one is assessments, apps, and AI tools. We're at dinner last night. Dave, you guys all know Dave. He's got this new app where he's just built his AI in. And he's like, listen, I'm trying to figure out how to sell this thing. I said, you talking my language, Dave. Because we all know AI is here to stay, and it's not taking over, but there's absolutely a place for you to take your framework and methodology and to create your own AI that would answer as you, to be an advisory tool that organizations can use absent from your presence. Yeah. Who wants to give me money right now? No. I'm up here and I'm listening to what I'm saying to y'all, and I'm popping my collar because this is some good stuff I'm giving you. All right. And then, of course, assessments. If you have your own assessment tools based on your work, and if you don't have your own assessment tool based on your work, turn to your neighbor and say, you should create one.
You should create one.
Because companies get real excited about accessing assessment tools that help their people perform better. And it's a great way to make some extra money beyond the keynote. Certifications and train the trainer. If you do anything great, if you have your own methodology and framework, which you all already told me that you do, you know you could be certifying people in your method, right? You know you could be training organizations. So you go in and you do the train the trainer workshop for them, but they still have to buy licenses for everyone that you trained so that they can actually use your methodology in the organization. This is how we expand the payday. And last but certainly not least is live events, ticket sales. Whether you have your own events, you partner with other people to do events, but these are all ways that you can expand your payday. I would love to pause right here and see if there are any questions about any of those things or anything that I've shared so far. Oh, we do. There are mics.
Yeah, I can take it. I'll be here running.
Has this been good? Yeah. Well, then give me a round of applause then. Thank you. Tell me your name.
Oh, Michelle Durden.
Okay.
Thank you. My primary work right now is in government.
Okay.
And a lot of the stuff here, they would probably be like, no.
I would.
Especially like right now, for sure, like right now.
I think it depends. What are your NAICS codes? What's your primary NAICS code?
I do leadership and development.
So 611430 is your primary one. Okay, yeah, so that's your primary one. So no, a lot of these things they would do. My primary NAICS code is 611430. Okay. And I sell a lot of certifications and train the trainer to the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you're welcome. My friend Meredith over here, who's brand new, this is her first meeting.
I met Meredith at a networking event yesterday, and she jumped right on it.
With the curriculums, is there a difference between selling to a company to have them join your curriculum or like be in the online portal versus licensing that to them, or is that the same thing?
It's like such a fine line. It's almost the same thing. You're going to make more money licensing it to the company, and then the people in the company have access to it. So I'm going to make some numbers up for the sake of the example. The higher the volume, so like if it's a company like Bank of America, which has like 100,000 employees, what they're going to pay per license could be as low as $50 per person per month. So that's $600 a year for that license. But 100,000 people, they buy 100,000 licenses in order for their people to have access to your curriculum. They'll make way more money than them coming into your portal and doing your course that one time. Yeah. And if everybody's metrics are different, but let's say Bank of America, I'm making this up, but let's say Bank of America says, as long as 40% of our people use your course in our portal, like our access to it, we'll renew every year for the next 5 years. And you can negotiate the percentage of people. So you can just do way more if you do it through licensing than just getting them to sign up. Yeah. Jason?
Talk to me about how you build this out. Obviously, you just didn't wake up and say, I got all these things. So
yeah.
Is there a structured process? Use other people? What do you do to create these kinds of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the very first thing that was developed was the framework or methodology, right? And so when I first developed it, I developed it just for entrepreneurs and small business owners. I did occasional corporate or government speaking, and they wanted some of the pillars that were in the framework too. So then I was like, oh, so that means I need to figure out how to keep the bones, but change, the clothes. That was a terrible analogy, but you know what I'm saying. So then that's what I did, like one at a time. So for me personally, I do have a team. I'm a company. I've got full-time employees that do the day-to-day things. I shimmy. I show up and shake it, right? So that means I've got time on my hands, and I use my time to develop the content. So I've got time appropriated each week where I'm doing the things to get to that point. And no, you don't, well, actually, if you are me, because I work well on a deadline, so if there are any people, if you're familiar with Colby, I'm a 9 quick start. I work well with a deadline. And so if I sell it to you, Jason, it'll be done by the time that I promised it to you. And so that's how I've written books. I remember I went to speak at this conference called the Special Event. They didn't pay me to be there, but it was worth it for me to do it. It was an event planners conference. I went, I did my thing. I was amazing. My groupie line, there's these 2 women from North Dakota that said, we want to bring you to be our keynote for our women's leadership conference. And I said, oh, that's amazing. It was so funny. I was not charging anywhere near $10,000, right? But they're like, but we only have $10,000 and we don't know if we can afford you. I was like, oh, I think we could make that happen, right? And she said, and if you have a book, we'll buy your book. I didn't have a book about that yet, but I made one. I said, oh yes, I've got this. I had a concept. I'm creating this book. It's called Burn the Box. And it's got fire starting strategies to help you to ignite your next level of success. And they ate it up. And they said, we'll take 300 copies. I said, when do you need the copies to be sent to you by? They said by September the 1st. This was February the 15th. Well, by September the 1st, the book was written, it was edited, it was bound, it was sent to 48-hour books, it was shipped to North Dakota. I work well with a deadline. So sometimes it's getting a deadline. Now with the advent of AI, some of these things get to be a lot easier based on how you've trained your AI, right? If you make sure you have the paid account, if you prime it with all of the things. So for instance, I put the transcript of my book into my AI so that it could start to do some of the work for me. Now, my rule is 85-15. The members of my team or AI does 85% of the work. I do the last 15%. So I'm never sending anything out into the world that is just AI, but because I've given it all the things it needs to know about me, it can respond as me, and it saves me so much time. So that's another way that you can do it now, but you prioritize. And the assignment in like a couple of slides is pick 3 that you're gonna focus on that are gonna be the first thing that you have. And then in your strategic plan each year, you add an element till you get to the point where you have 10 things that people could buy from you when you do a keynote. But no, we don't create all of this tomorrow. Great question. We have a question over here, Jazz.
Hello. So
Hi.
I actually don't have
Tell me your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Tasha.
Hi, Tasha.
Nice to meet you. My question is really not about the content that you have up here, but it's something you said earlier. You said that you made about, it was like 77 last year, 2021.
82, 82 total.
So how many clients did you have overall to kind of trying to figure out the ratio of success?
Yeah, so we didn't start focusing on getting people to 7 figures until 2021. So that was the start of it. I don't believe in leading where I haven't been. So although I got my company to 7 figures the very first time in 2014, I hated my 7-figure company. I hated it. It was everything Biggie said it was going to be. It was more money and it was more problems. I knew I was supposed to make 7 figures. We're actually now at 8 on our way to 9. I knew I was supposed to get there, but I had to find a way to do it where I didn't have to sacrifice and lose everything in the process. So I actually backed away from 7 figures. So 14 and 15, we were a multi-7-figure company. 16, 17, and part of 18, we were like $600,000 a year. By 2019, we were back to 7 figures, and we've doubled each year. So I had to figure out how to do it. I wouldn't teach it until I loved it. So until it was in alignment and congruent with me, I wouldn't tell anyone else. So since 2021, and that particular program, we do about 30 to 40 clients in that program a year. So 30 times 4-ish is 120, and we've got 82. So, girl, listen.
Darnyelle,
Listen.
Darnyelle.
I already told y'all I'll change your life if you let me. I already told you that.
Yes, ma'am. How are you? My name is James Orlando.
Hi, James.
First off, much like yourself, ever since I can remember, I've been topping my collar.
And you got one on tonight. I see you, James.
Come on now, you gotta stay cute.
Listen.
Just super quick question. You asked a very powerful question in your. I just want to know where you asked it that question. What do you need next?
Mm-hmm.
Who answers that question? When do you give it to them? That's a really beautiful question that got me spinning.
Yeah, so I do it in the post survey.
Okay.
So after we're done, so I shimmied. I came and did what I said I was going to do. You got the immediate breakthroughs that you came for. And I know every problem solved creates a new problem. So what do you need next? So it's on the post survey. So let's say, I'm making it up, let's say there are 5 questions and they're like on a scale from 1 to 10. After those same 5 questions are on the post survey, there's just an open box that says, what do you need next? And then they just fill in with what they need. I'd take and synthesize all of that information. And before I have the conversation with whomever brought me in, I've already created what I believe the program is that takes all the what do you need nexts into consideration to present to them of how we can continue to deepen our experience and connection to get their teams to wherever they want them to be. Yep, you're welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see.
My name is Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Hi. And so when you started talking about the organizations that you work with, you mean government, for-profit, and entrepreneurs, has there been or could there be a space where you work with nonprofits who have earned revenue as a part of their income strategy?
Yeah, I have a handful of nonprofit clients now, because here's what we know about nonprofits. It's really just a tax filing status, right?
Yes, it is. I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah.
We are a business.
Yeah. So we have definitely worked with nonprofit organizations. Oh, nice. I used to be a Girl Scout. I went to cadets.
Once a Girl Scout, always a
Listen,
Girl Scout.
I mean, I would maybe wear the blue uniform now if it was strapless, but I'm just saying. Okay.
Kelly Jonnerburn, I've got a live event. It's coming up in literally, it'll be on the 16th, and we are sold out.
Nice.
And we've got a book. We wrote the book, and thank you. We did bestseller in 33 days.
Nice.
So that whole thing about get your act together. So we did that, and we've got an offer now.
I mean, that's got a live event in how many days too?
You would offer, because in the room, there's some people that are here. One of my speakers, fabulous Alexis, is here. In the room, we'll have 50% corporate. We'll have 50% entrepreneur and small business. So, I mean, obviously, you just made my brain blow up. What would be your next best step?
Can I ask a few questions to clarify before I
Absolutely.
answer? How long is the event?
The event is all day. It's a one-day women's conference. And if you
Okay.
really
Oh,
do
yeah,
this-
you were telling me about.
Yeah.
Okay. And how is the agenda structured for the one day?
One day there's nine TED Talk type speakers.
Okay.
We've got a lunch with the bestseller speaker. That's when we have a little reveal. You guys are getting here in the whole conference. But we'll have a little reveal then.
Okay.
A few speakers in the afternoon. And in the afternoon, I'll have an hour.
Okay.
But what I
How many
want-
times are you speaking?
I'm speaking 45 minutes in the morning, 15, 45 in the morning, 45 in the afternoon, a wrap up and the offer.
Okay. All right. So that's enough. So the reason why I asked those questions just to bring everybody in. Number one, understanding the flow of the day, because that's going to determine where I recommend you make your offer. I actually don't recommend that you make it at the end of the day, because you're making an offer as they're walking out the door and going home, so you're going to leave money on the table. I actually recommend that you make it right after lunch. I believe that you have to earn the right to make them an offer. You've got to give them value. You've got to demonstrate that there's more available to them that they would actually want to buy. By the time you get to lunch, because you've spoken twice and you're the one making an offer, you probably will have given them enough value for them to be able to make a decision. Now, these 9 TEDx talks that are happening, these are all people that are featured in the book.
No,
Okay,
none of them are featured in the book. They all have a word. They speak for 9 minutes.
okay.
They're going to give their word and their expertise and how it relates to business.
And are you pulling all of those 9 words together in some way before you make your offer?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Well, and the reason why I asked that is because when you have a lot of outside speakers, it can be challenging for you if you're not on stage enough to make an offer, because we're in a mature market, right? We're in a market where people want to know you and feel connected to you before they give you their cash. And so we have to make sure that you create enough intimacy. So there are 3 things distinctively that I would do. Number 1, this may be already happening, but if it is not, I would tell you to turn your recorder on your phone. Because I'm going to go really fast and you're going to ask me to repeat it and I'm not going to be able to, and then you're going to be mad. So let's turn the recording on before I start giving you the 3 things that I have for you.
That was going to be my next thing. You are like a mind reader. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, and ready?
Okay, so number 1, and I didn't ask you what your offer is. So tell me what the offer is real quick first.
The offer is an opportunity to work on the piece of your business that you want to work on, clarity, confidence, and taking action so you can create momentum in your business. And at the end of that, they will all be able to be in a book, and they will be a bestseller, and they will be an international bestselling author.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so number 1, I want you to make sure that throughout the course of the day, you create community. Here's what I mean, because you would think just because we're together, we're creating community. So do you notice how, as we've been together, I've had you turning and talking to your neighbor, right? I had you look at somebody in their eyeballs to make that connection with them. When you do that, Maslow's hierarchy of needs says what? We are all in our innermost form seeking for somewhere to belong. If you make them feel like these are they people, I know that was really broken English, but just go with me. They gonna be with them people. So create community. That's number 1. Number 2, I want you to make sure that you are seeding. So even when you get up the first 15 minutes, I'd say something like this. I'm so excited that you guys are here. Over the course of the day, we're going to literally blow your mind. And as the day draws to an end, you're going to find yourself standing at a proverbial crossroad, and you're going to have a decision to make. You're going to have to decide, do you continue down the road that you've been on, or do you pivot and come down the road that will get you to your next level? Throughout the course of the time that I'm with you today, every time you see me, I'm going to give you another nugget that's going to help you to answer that question. Because later today, I'm going to invite you to step into your next level working directly with me and my team. Something like that is what I would do, number 2. And then number 3, after you make the offer, I would recommend that you have it set up where you take them to a space where they can learn more about the offer. I would not convolute the stage with the features of the offer. I would only speak benefits, high level, and then I would pull them off somewhere else where you could go into the intricacies. Those are the 3 things that I would share with you right now.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Give her a
Yep.
round of applause.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions so far? We've got another one over here.
Where's the question? Manny, our CPAE.
I'm intrigued by your concept of 85-15. The majority of speakers that I've known over the decades do not have many staff members.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit more about the return on investment of the 85%?
Yeah.
And how many people do you have working for you?
Yeah, I love the question. So remember I said earlier, I'm a consultant who speaks, not a speaker who consults. So that's the first thing, right? So right now I just hired 2 people. So I always have to count in my head. I have 8 full-time employees, W-2s in my company. I have 3 international full-time team members. They're technically contractors because they live in another country. And then I have 4 other contractors that serve a role within the organization. I did not wake up like this, so I didn't start here. But it was for me, I wanted to be the CEO, and my E did not stand for everything. So I knew that I was going to build a team, right? Even with a good EA and maybe a separate person for marketing, you could do this. So you don't have to have a big team like I have in order to leverage the 85-15. And if you prime AI, that could take the job. Now that they have the AI agents, have you guys tried this AI agent thing? Oh, how many of you do cold pitches? I have an AI agent who's doing our cold pitching now. So we set up the campaign, we connected our Gmail, we upload the list every single week based on the leads that we get, some of them from my speaker leads, and they send out the cold emails. An AI agent does that. So there are a lot of things that you can have people doing on your team or in the roles that you're paying $20 a month for, Manny. Could you get excited about that for $20? I'm just saying. Tashi?
So, getting back into the AI agent thing, so I have staff as well, but my thing with AI and what I've recognized is that in our business, like you said, we have to create community, we have to somewhat personalize it. Have you been, I don't, maybe it's me, but I just feel like sometimes without a human eye on that cold email.
Well, that's why it's 85-15. So I already wrote the emails.
Okay.
They're just doing the task.
Okay.
But no, nothing leaves my company without a human taking a look at it. But we do leverage the power of the tools that we have available to us to do more. Because somebody could probably make the case that I could have 20 full-time employees. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, I get it. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that.
Yep.
Eric Olson, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
I get a technical question for you. That texting platform that you used in the very beginning, what service, what company?
Yeah, so we use Keep as our CRM. So that is Fix Your Funnel. It integrates with Keep, which is our CRM. But Keep, it used to be called Infusionsoft or Confusionsoft for any of you who are like old school like me. Yeah, so, but most of the CRMs have their own platform that does the texting. As with anything, you just have to load the campaign.
Fix your funnel.
So when you scan it, so when you scan it, and I don't know how this works, I got people for this, I shimmy, right? But what I understand is you hit the QR code, it opens up your text message, it does all the steps. Once you hit submit, it goes into Keep. We apply a tag so they will know that you met me at the Minnesota chapter of the NSA. So when my team reaches out to you to welcome you to our community, they're gonna say, you heard Darnyelle speak at the Minnesota chapter meeting. So we have all of those things set up on the background that allows us to do the things that happen on the foreground. Yep. Tell everybody your name.
My name is Arlene Goldstrom, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you again for the invite. Thank you again for pouring into me. What are the trends that you are seeing for speakers that we're leaving on the table that we haven't even seen in the next 5 years?
Wow, that is a really good question. Okay, I'm going to answer it to the best of my ability right now. So one of the biggest, everybody heard the question, right? Okay, so the question was, what are the trends that I am seeing for speakers that they don't even know, that you guys don't even know exist that could be impacting the money that you're making? I heard you correctly, right? Okay, because I said it differently. So one of the things that I will say, and you guys, I mean, y'all go to the NSA conference, so you have heard these things too, is because the market has changed, like the traditional keynote speaker, come make us feel good, is becoming obsolete, right? Nobody is paying for motivation anymore. They're paying for insights that are gonna lead to results that drive productivity and performance so that they can increase profitability. So you wanna make sure that, you gotta make sure that I'm like, where is she, right? Yeah. Whatever you're doing, it affects the bottom line of the organization, and all of your marketing and positioning speaks to that as well, right? So yes, we are in the age, DEI has taken a hit. All of these things have happened, but here's the thing. Before it was called DEI, it was called leadership development. And let me tell you what they're not cutting, leadership development. So if you were a person who used diversity, equity, and inclusion in your language, find the leadership development terminology that says the same thing. And let's be honest, it's gonna change again. It's a political thing. So when the things change, the things will change. And then you can go back and saying. And that's why, in general, we should try not to jargonize what it is that we do, and we should speak the very humanistic fifth grader language that is the same and is universal. That's the best marketing. When we get all highfalutin and say all of these big fancy words because they sound good, or we created it and we got a registered trademark on it, we miss the mark and our message gets diluted and we go over people's heads and they don't hire us. They hire someone who does technically what we do but can't touch us because we're the best who thinks since pockets, but they don't know because we're using jargon. So. Pockets are great. They are amazing. Like,
and pockets
I don't
and
have pockets in
dresses.
these pants.
That's the next level.
Yes,
a pocket and a dress.
Let me just tell you, I wish I had pockets in these pants right now.
Alrighty, y'all, we're gonna take a 15-minute break. Has this not been amazing? All right, so 15 minutes. Someone help me do the math. That is 7:50. Is that right? 7:50. We're gonna be back
around 7:50.
Right here in your chair. So she's gonna get started, and you're going to want to get the last
I got some
40
more stuff.
minutes.
I got some more.
Again, if you are a first timer, please come to the step and repeat before going to the bathroom so that you can get your group picture. We're not doing individual pictures at this moment. The group picture at the step and repeat and refresh. Connect. If you have some specific connections you're looking to make, ask on how to grow and thrive. Please put them on the white sheets and we'll see you back here.
Awesome. Awesome. How does it feel? Awesome. What new questions have emerged now that you know your three?
How am I going to do it?
How am I going to do it, right?
Did I pick the right three?
Did you pick the right three? You can't pick the wrong three. You can't pick the wrong three. It's your business. It's your genius. All that you need, you already have. The answers are already inside you. So whatever you are gravitating towards, I believe it's your soul's way of telling you where you should focus. You got to trust. Trust that you are the expert that you know that you are, and know that you know, like you know your name, that when you show up fully and you bring the transformation, because you are the transformation, turn to your neighbor and say, you are the transformation. I love that y'all did it with a little swing of the head like I did too. I love that. Oh, I love it. You are the transformation. You can't go wrong. Your confidence will close more sales than your skills. They will borrow your confidence to say yes to themselves through your transformation if you are indeed confident. Don't let anyone talk you out of your brilliance. You are brilliant. Listen, I believe that when God created you, he was showing the world what incredible looks like. What are we talking about? And so in that energy, you show up to do the things that it is that you show up to do, and the cream will rise. And what doesn't rise isn't for you. And it's all okay. Right? Awesome.
I'd like to get your thoughts where podcast and or YouTube channel comes into play on the speakers.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. Okay. My name is Nicole Pillow, and I'd like to know two things. Where does podcast, YouTube channels have become so feels like frontlining? Where does that fit into the scope of a speaker's journey?
Yeah, I love this question for a couple of reasons. So at the end of 2023, going into 2024, as Google started to notice the shift in the market, they did a consumer survey. Now, they do this often as they knew, because we spend our time vacillating between a growth market and a mature market. We'll probably never again be in a startup market. Startup market was when the internet came, right? We may at some point be in a declining market, but for the most part, we're going to be in. No, because AI's been around for a very long time. You're just figuring out about it. But it's been around for a lot of years already, right? So we spend most of our time vacillating between growth and mature. So whenever we're in a mature market, our visibility needs to increase. So Google did this consumer study just to see how long and what consumer buying behaviors have become as the market was beginning to shift. And this is where the 7-11-4 comes from. Whatever you want to be a thought leader around, there needs to be a minimum of 7 hours of content available on that thing. A minimum of 7 hours, because the average consumer today is spending 7 hours checking you out before they give you their money. So 7 hours for whatever you want to be known for. Across 11 different moments, a moment is like a banner on a website, or a post on social media, or an email, or a billboard or banner that's on the highway. 11 different moments on 4 different platforms. So that if I Google you, I don't only see the only information coming up from you coming from your website, but you are populating content about the problem you solve in other places consistently, that if I were to Google you, I could find 7 hours of you to familiarize myself with your thought leadership and make a decision to move in the direction of hiring you. So, podcasting, YouTube channel, do them both at the same time, right? Record your podcast as a video, extrapolate the audio to send to the podcast syndicators, put the video on YouTube, 2 birds, 1 stone. I believe that you should do it every week. If you were to take a video that is 10 to 30 minutes every single week, that one video could be broken into a minimum of 20 pieces of content that gets disseminated throughout the course of the week. That could be your whole content distribution strategy that creates the visibility for you to be known for what you want to be known for in the market for solving the problem that you uniquely solve. If you are not operating in the 7-11-4, if you are not creating content in a mature market at all times, then you are reducing the amount of money that is flowing into your bank accounts. I'm not saying you got to do the Macarena on TikTok. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. But you got to be doing something and having it populate. This also does not mean that you have to be sitting on Facebook waiting for people to respond. You can automate these things. Now, I'll be honest with you, depending upon the platform, the amount of engagement you get is going to vary if it's scheduled versus if it's live. But you don't necessarily have to be there live for all of it, but you do need to have a presence. Now, I also want to put a little asterisk up in the corner, because online marketing and online marketing streams are only one marketing stream. It is not Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok as 4 different marketing streams. They are all one. It's social media. It's one. Do not hang your hat and your marketing strategy on social media, because social media today, now those of you who can remember the Facebook of old, the 07, 08 Facebook, where you could make a post and all your friends saw it and you made money, that's not where we are today. So less than 1% of the people that are connected to you are seeing anything that you post at any point in time. And I just read a study the other day that says that if you want to change the algorithm in your direction on Facebook specifically, you need to post 10 times a day. So the question you have to ask yourself, because I feel like y'all, the question you have to ask yourself, though, is your ideal client even looking for you on Facebook? Because if they're not, don't worry about it. LinkedIn, on the other hand, it says if you post on LinkedIn multiple times a day, your rating actually goes down. It doesn't increase your engagement. Because they're not trying to hear all of that. Sorry, when I get excited, my voice goes up 3 octaves. They're not trying to hear all of that. Once a day on LinkedIn. So pick the post that is the most important once a day. The more you post on LinkedIn, the worse your engagement will be. So you got to understand the platform, and you got to know where your client is for that one marketing stream. In a mature market especially, You need to make sure that you are marketing online as well as offline. I know the internet and all of that has been around for, 20, 25 years, and we've forgotten old school. I mean, y'all haven't forgotten because y'all are physically in the space with people. Deals will close faster when you get into proximity with people than they ever will if you rely on an email campaign sequence, right? So don't despise the necessity of proximity and connecting with people so that you can grow and thrive. Is that connect, grow, thrive? That's the three? Yeah. So just make sure that you're doing that as well, right? In order to be able to make it happen. But the very long answer to your very short question is yes, you should be doing both of them at the same time. You can do them on Zoom, Ecamm, whatever, and just splice the audio from the video so you have both. Yep. Hi, Michelle again.
I actually just did a survey this summer, and I put a couple of white papers together. And so that really isn't on there, but I'm kind of using it as a tool because I know the problem because I researched the problem. This is the problem right here. And turns out I have the stuff to solve the problem.
You do.
So how would you say, how would I know how to put it out to warm leads, but how could I put that out to cold leads?
Oh, I have a great strategy for this that works really well on LinkedIn. So if you want to expand your market, or if you want to take cold people and make them warm, the best thing to do is to create a new white paper. And you go out to the people that you want to be your clients and you ask them for their opinion about your topic. Because let me tell y'all something. We all want to give our 2 cents all the time. When nobody's asking for it, we want to give our 2 cents. So if you invite me to be interviewed as a part of the research you're doing for a new white paper, and I'm one of those people who wants to feel important, don't we all want to feel important? Then I'm probably going to say yes to give you my 2 cents. People will work harder for praise and recognition than they will for money. And being featured in your white paper is praise and recognition. And so you can take that strategy, you can interview me, and as a part of our interview, after you've asked me all the questions that fill your data points, you can ask me a simple question like this. What do you still need? And when I give you my answer, if you have what I need, then you flip the conversation. I know that we were here so that I could interview you for my white paper, and I thank you so very much for your time and attention today. I would be remiss if I did not bring to your attention that the problem you have and what you still need is something that I can help you with. I know our conversation today was not for that. Would you be open to us booking a separate conversation where I could talk to you a little bit more about the solutions that I've developed to help you to solve the very problem that you have right now? And now you just flipped it into a discovery conversation where you can now position yourself to solve their problem and sell them one of the things. Yes. Yes. Other questions? I think we want to get you a mic.
Talk to me about sponsorships when you're talking with entrepreneurial events, because that's totally new to me. So I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways you can do sponsorships. You have your traditional sponsorships, right, where my company serves your client in a different way, so I want to pay you money to get visibility at your event. Those are always great, right? You determine what the package is going to look like. I will sidebar and say this. I'm not a believer in creating prefabbed packages for sponsorships. I'm a believer in having a conversation to identify what they need, because you can sell them way more than the $5,500 coffee break sponsorship if you have a conversation with them and you customize a package based on what they're telling you that you need, right? I'm always thinking expand, extend, right? How can we make more money from this interaction? So I would absolutely do that. But then we have the sponsorships like I talked about earlier. So my company wants to get in front of a market that I'm not in, but maybe I don't want to be a speaker. And you are a speaker and you're going out. So I hire you or I sponsor you to do whatever just so you mention my name from the stage so all those people learn about me without me having to get on that stage myself is another way that it could work. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you, I want to be one of the shimmers, so could you tell me the foundations, well, I can't shimmy.
You can shimmy, Phil. Shimmy, Phil. You can do it, Phil. I know you can shimmy. Let's loosen your shoulders a little bit. Just do it for me real quick. See, you can do it, Phil. We can all shimmy.
Okay, back to the 85-15.
Okay.
Okay, right now, as I'm growing my business, I've become my own bottleneck.
Okay.
So what were the AI is one cornerstone. As you went through the transformation, what were the key people and functions that helped you see?
Yeah, so for a very long time, it was me and an executive assistant. And that E in executive assistant really meant everything assistant. Everything that I didn't want to do or didn't have capacity to do, they did for a very long time, maybe 5 years. And then I realized if I really wanted to grow, I wasn't even trying to scale yet. Most people get scaling wrong. Scaling is the act of multiplying, duplicating, and replicating a series of strategies and systems in order to increase revenue and results. And most people don't have something to scale, but they keep saying they're scaling. I just wanted to grow. And in order to grow, I had to stop bottlenecking my business. And everything was bottlenecked between me and my EA. So I took the EA role and I started to expand it out. What I found is that my EA was really the marketing assistant, the booking manager, they were doing all of these different jobs. And so I went and I found people to do some of those jobs. Still not employees, still not full-time, but even if I could buy 10 hours a month to take that off of my EA's plate, then she could get better at doing the main things I needed her to do. As our revenue started to increase, then I decided to make an investment in hiring employees with clear job descriptions, key performance indicators, outcomes and milestones to track, and performance appraisals as a part of the process. Because often as entrepreneurs and small business owners, we like to leave that part in corporate America. But we need it in our companies too, to make sure that we're actually getting the work that we need done. We're getting the results that create an ROI. I'm personally of the belief that every single person that works for you, you ought to be able to track 3 to 10 times their salary to your business's bottom line. And if you can't, you should probably fire them. And then you need to get clear about their role and their KPIs and train and develop them so that within 6 months or so, they begin contributing to the tune of 3 to 10x. And it might not start at 10x, it might start at 3, but over time it should grow to 10. Now you can justify that role to your company's bottom line, and it frees you up to do more shimmying, which is the ultimate goal. Yes. Mm-hmm.
One of the things that everybody in this room should think about is the issue of time.
Mm-hmm.
Having been involved in this enterprise since 1960s,
Mm-hmm.
things change.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that will change, I guarantee it, is all of the 85% or whomever to help you get to where you want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that changes is our physical health, our age,
Mm-hmm.
people who were very, very instrumental
Mm-hmm.
in whatever each of us have had help with. They pass on, and things change the other way.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about wonderfully well, by the way.
Thank you very much.
You're talking about how do you build. The question is, as you build and as you age and as you physically change, how do you make sure that you continue, make sure that your work is continued?
Mm-hmm.
And having just written my 6th book, even though I have limited vision and physical issues and so forth, the fact is you can still contribute and there's a growth downward.
Yeah.
And the question that I would pose to everybody in this room is focus heavily on your growth upward, as you're talking about. But think a little bit about what are you going to do as you start the path downward.
Yeah.
Because that's where the lasting impact is.
Absolutely. And what I would add to that, thank you very much, Manny, is your intellectual property is your legacy. So I have a trust, and all of my IP is in my trust with directives of how to sell it or what I want to live on long after I'm gone. So as you're developing these things, and I think Stephen Covey said it best, begin it with the end in mind, right? So what do you want to happen? I don't know about you, but I want them to be saying Darnyelle, Jervey, Harmon for a lot more years than I have. Now, part of the reason why I lost 58 pounds is because I went to the doctor on my 48th birthday for my annual physical. All my numbers were off. My blood pressure, my cholesterol, I was pre-diabetic, everything was out of whack. My doctor said something like, I don't know how many more times we're going to get to keep meeting like this if something doesn't change. But what I heard was, girl, you about to die. You gonna die. Get your life right. That's what I heard. And I got my life right. I lost 58 pounds. I stopped eating sugar. I started moving my body. I started shimmying a little harder. I was like, I need at least 25, about 30 more years up in this piece. I'm not ready to go yet. And at the same time, all along, I've been developing my intellectual property. And I've been thinking about, how do I take everything I've created? How do you take everything that you've created and make sure that it continues to transform long after you're gone? I am not fortunate enough to have children. My husband and I tried for 5 years. We were not successful. And then I lost all that weight, and I was like, ain't nobody plumping their body back up now. So I'm the rich auntie. And my nieces and nephews, there are stipulations in my trust on how they're going to inherit a portion of my millions. But I've been thinking about legacy because I actually don't want to have to work, even if I can, at that point. And so think about that. I think that is a very real consideration when we think about how do we create a multi-revenue machine. As we're building these millions, it's not just for lifestyle, it is for legacy. We all know the story of the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers. One of them ain't rich no more. But the Rockefellers, they put things in place to ensure, like literally, I don't even know if y'all know any Rockefellers. I don't know any. But there is not a Rockefeller up in this world that has to ever work because of what John D. put in place, because of legacy, because he began with the end in mind. We all have the ability to be able to do something like that as well. Thank you, Manny, for that contribution. I appreciate it. Other questions? Mm-hmm.
You have books on your list.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm so glad you.
yeah.
You have books on your list, and I know my daughter and I have actually written a book too, but and I know she's been writing a book, but and I know there's several people here that are writing books. But I feel like that, like, how are you feeling about that industry? I feel like that is turning into something else that's not a book too, like Substack or subscription. Like, do you have any sense for that? Because I see, still see book sales.
I don't think books are ever going to go away. And I believe that as speakers, the way that you make books relevant to the organizations that are hiring you, especially if you're self-published. Who's self-published? When you are self-published, I shared this. Did I share the dinner last? Or I shared it somewhere yesterday. Get the organizations that you are speaking to write the foreword in your book for their people. They'll buy hundreds of copies because they wrote the foreword to your book. It's a continuing learning education tool for their employees. For the companies, that won't, I'm looking at you, Ann, but you just put your pen down to write. For the companies that won't pay to develop their people, let me tell you what they will do. They will buy them a $25 book. And if you set it up in the conversation that either the person who's bringing you in or whomever they decide in the organization could write the foreword for the version of the book that their people will have at their desks, they will buy copies. So I don't think books are going anywhere. I think, people will continue to have Audible. And yes, I took my book and I turned it into all the things. But I still have a physical book. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be on for our last two questions.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's on the book thing as well.
Okay.
On that, like self-publishing versus publishing, I've gotten very stuck in my head because I ideally wanted to go the traditional publishing route.
Mm-hmm.
But then in this day and age, you have to have a level of following to prove book sales. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've just been kind of stuck in that cycle and wondering what you recommend.
Yeah, so all of my books, with the exception of Move to Millions, were self-published. Move to Millions is hybrid published. So with the help of my attorney, we retain the rights to my book. Because when you get a traditional book deal, you are selling your stuff. It means it ain't yours no more, Meredith, right? They own the rights to it. And this is my core methodology. You can't have that. So we had to negotiate. I took a lower advance in order to retain the rights to my book. I also had the Audible rights to my book. Most people don't get the Audible rights to their book. So you want to make sure that you have the right people. And today, it's not the same as back in the day, right? Like I said, I'm starting my next book. And I said, I'm not even going to try to shop it. But then I had a conversation with a person in the literary industry, and they were like, no, you should shop it. So we're actually shopping it. If I don't get at least a $250 advance for that book, I'm self-publishing. But anyway, it is not my core framework and methodology, so it's a book that I would consider traditionally publishing. But I think that I say that makes the difference. If it's your core framework and methodology, do it yourself. You can, I have other books that have made USA Today. I mean, everybody can be an Amazon bestseller. Y'all all know the trick to do Amazon, right? But I mean, like my books that I self-published are available at bookstores. Like all the things that you think you need a traditional house to do, you can do yourself. Lightning Source is a distribution arm for self-published authors, so your books can be bought at Barnes & Noble. Depending upon how well you do in your first week, will determine if they carry the book on site or if people have to go in and order it. But you can do all the things and own everything, right? And even when you send it to Amazon, you're only getting 55% of that book versus when you sell it on your website. There are all marketing things you can put in place in order to manage the number of sales that you're getting from your book.
What do you recommend for self-publishing? Or like,
I did everything myself. I bought my ISBN number. So I technically have a publishing arm to my company. I would never publish anybody else's works, but I have my own publishing arm. I own the ISBNs. I brought in a typesetter, had someone design a cover, had it edited, but I own everything of it. You can do it that way. You can do one of those hybrid houses, whatever, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. At that point, the most important thing is the ownership and the things that you put in place for your distribution. But you can do a campaign to still sell 4,000 copies of the book to hit USA Today. I have a couple of clients that have done it recently. Yeah. All right. Well, was this worth you guys coming out in the rain? I probably had some other slides in here. Let's see if there's anything else. I just had a couple of case studies. So just really quickly, I'm going to share a couple with you. So in June, I did a keynote. I got paid $15,000 up front. On the back end, I made $45,000 for a total of $60,000 because someone enrolled in my mastermind. In July, I did a keynote. I got paid $25,000 to do it. I negotiated. I found out what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to go before they made their offer. So I was their offer pre-frame. As a result of my offer, they had 225 people enroll in an $18,000 program. I made 5%, which was $75,000 on the back end of that speaking engagement. In December, I did a half-day training in a corporation. They paid me $15,000. On the back end, I made $270,000 because I developed a leadership development program based on what they brought me in to do. In October of 24, I did a breakout session where I got paid 0 figures. But on the back end, I made $125,000 because I licensed my methodology for 12 months. In June of last year, I got paid $3,500 to do a breakout. I made $250,000 licensing my curriculum on the back end. And January of last year, I got paid $12,500. On the back end, I made $500,000 because I sold people to my live event and then they enrolled in my program. So I'm saying all of this to say, there is no reason for you to not be able to expand beyond that keynote fee, except for the limitations that you set for yourself. I'm not rushing out of here. My name is Dr. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. Did I change your life? Yeah. Did I transform you? Awesome. Then that means I did what I came to do.